We're on our fifth continent now and taking on our fifth endurance challenge, this one in New Zealand.
Please welcome Dan Berlin, Team C Possibilities.
It's the challenge itself that brings out the strength in us.
Blind ultramarathon runner, extreme endurance athlete, co-founder of his own company, and blindness advocate.
To see the possibilities, not the limitations. Our message is always about letting each individual find their true own self, human capacity, human potential, and help them to recognize that.
You can find out more about Dan Berlin and the foundation at teamcpossibilities.com.
The barriers and challenges are there for someone with a visual disability, but they're not insurmountable. It's just we always learn how to attack the problem from a different angle.
For more podcasts with the blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com and download the free Blind Abilities app from the App Store. That's 2 words, Blind Abilities.
For anyone who likes Lord of the Rings, almost all of that film was filmed around that area. So basically we're running around Mount Doom.
And now, here's Dan Berlin. We hope you enjoy. Welcome to Blind Abilities. I'm Jeff Thompson, and today we got a special guest who's taken off to New Zealand. He's a blind endurance athlete. His name's Dan Berlin, and thank you, Dan, for taking the time in such a crunch moment here, coming on to Blind Abilities.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you bet. It's a pleasure to have you on. Can you tell people what you've been doing? You got 7 countries, 7 years, but you're doing something that's bigger than just the event itself.
Definitely. So this started out as a recreational activity in the extreme sense with 3 of my friends and I looking to run rim to rim to rim in the Grand Canyon. And we did that 4 years ago. After that, it was so impactful that we decided to form a nonprofit called Team C Possibilities. And since then, we've been taking on once a year epic endurance challenges around the world with the mission of supporting children who are blind in each country that we go to. And we're on our 5th continent now and taking on our 5th endurance challenge, this one in New Zealand. We leave tomorrow evening.
You're going to be doing an endurance marathon. I mean, it's not just around the track 26 miles. This is something quite different.
Yeah, we like to find things that are challenging. As any of us who have limited or no sight know, uneven surfaces to the extreme of trying to run on the trail is about as challenging as it gets. So that's kind of right in our wheelhouse. We put ourselves in these tough situations and try to figure out how to get through it. So each time we attempt one of these runs, we're learning as we go, adapting to different techniques of guiding. I've learned so much on the fly about how to deal with different situations as they present themselves and doing it safely, and really relying on others working together as a team to do these things that seem impossible at the time. And then we find a way to get them done. And then we try to take that message and share it, especially with parents, educators, children who are interacting or who are visually impaired themselves, and really say that this is tough. It's hard to go through school. It's hard to think of a career when you have limited sight. But the reality is that the challenge can actually make us stronger. It's just like when we do train for an endurance event, when we do train for a marathon, we don't jump off the couch and run it. We have to put ourselves through all sorts of challenges in order to build up that endurance to be able to tackle the goal that we want to obtain. And we use this analogy in taking on some of these tremendously hard endurance challenges to really say it's the challenge itself that brings out the strength in us.
And doing such feats as this brings a lot of attention to it, and you kind of relay that into bringing attention to blindness and like orphanages and people involved in those countries.
Yeah, definitely. We spend a lot of time with schools, spend a lot of time with children who are blind, and also their peers, their communities, their educators. So often it's about not coming in with preset expectations or a very low bar of what somebody's capable of achieving. And our message is always about letting each individual find their true own self, human capacity, human potential, and help them to recognize that. So often it's the most well-meaning adults in the child's life that put up these roadblocks around them, or guardrails might be more to say, to keep them safe. And in so doing, oftentimes limit their own self-beliefs on what can be accomplished or what they can truly achieve. And that's what we try to knock down.
Mm-hmm.
Professionally, I co-founded a vanilla extract company, been CEO here for years. We actually just made a transition with the company. So now I'm back into a very large corporate environment. And, the barriers and challenges are there for someone with a visual disability, but they're not insurmountable. It's just we always learn how to attack the problem from a different angle.
So when you attack this problem of the trail ultra marathon, you're not just going to run one. You decided to do two in a week.
Yeah, well, that's the way. You know what they say, that expression about, you become the average of your peers? The real true test of that is to pick incredible peers to be hanging out with. And when I got together with this team, if you said the bar was 2 feet high, they looked at it and said, well, that's the first one. The real one's 4 feet high. And they're always upping the ante. And that's great for me because we push each other to achieve things that we're not sure if we know we can do. When we go into these things, we never really know that we're going to accomplish it. And that's what makes it so special when we do. And this time in New Zealand, we're taking on the Tongariro circuit in the North Island, which is about a 27-mile run. For those that love Lord of the Rings, if you picture Mount Doom, we're basically running around Mount Doom. So you can imagine how rugged that terrain is in the films. That's where number one. So then after leaving the North Island, we head to the South Island and take on the world famous Milford Trek. And for this one, we're going to start by kayaking a few kilometers to the start. And this is traditionally a 4-day hike, about 33 miles. And we're going to run it actually reverse to the normal route that's taken. So it gets a lot of the climbing and the rugged terrain in there in the first half, and take that on in less than a day.
Less than a day.
Less than a day.
Wow.
We're not bringing sleeping bags, so it's going to be pretty cold and wet if we don't make it.
There's the incentive. There you go.
Exactly. That's what they say.
It's great what you do. I know you started this a while ago. This is number 5 out of the 7, right?
Yeah, this is 5 out of 7.
5 continents. Last year did the Great Wall, and wow. Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
It's great. And each time we go to one of these countries, we have the opportunity to speak at schools, to talk with children who have vision loss, and parents and teachers and communities in which they live. So we always get lots of ability to interact with many communities and to really spread our message of ability and not prejudging. The whole goal is to just blow up these perceived notions of what someone with a disability is capable of doing.
And let them see the possibilities, as in the name Team C, possibilities.
Exactly. We want everyone, the individual themselves and those around them, to see the possibilities, not the limitations.
Yeah, just like you said in other times when we've talked, you said you don't think about what you can't do. You think about what you can do. I like that attitude.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the workplace, so often we focus on, enhance your strengths, play to your strengths, take advantage of your strengths, do whatever you can to diminish your weaknesses. That's so often in many things, whether it's a sport, business, personally, that's what leads to success. And for someone with a vision impairment like myself, a significant weakness is the fact that I can't see what I'm doing. So mitigate that weakness, find an awesome team. I have 3 fantastic guides, and play to my strengths. In my case, my strengths are the love and ability to do some of these physical endurance challenges, and make the most of that.
Why don't you give Team C possibilities a shout out right now? I think they're great. I've watched those videos, and wow, it's just neat seeing what they do for challenges along with you, because you seem like the crazy guy, and they're there with you though.
Oh, sometimes I think I am the sane one in the group.
Oh, wow.
So it's awesome. We were first started with Charles Scott, longtime friends, been friends for almost 2 decades now. And when I first got into just running, my goal was really to start running and get to a 5K. This was about 9 years ago. I had no idea of getting into endurance sports at the time. I was in my late 30s, feeling down, gaining weight, had started a new enterprise, new company, and was feeling pretty low about my physical health, and just decided to go out and start running to try to get back in shape. And Charles is really the inspiration to take it a step further and try a marathon. He's one of the main drivers of the team. Brad Graff is a longtime friend of Charles and invaluable teammate. Brad is our logistics guru. He takes care of everything, packing list, plan-wise, transportation, gets us where we need to be, keeps us on time. Is absolutely fantastic. And Alison Qualter-Berna is our third team member, and she's really the heart of the team. Alison brings so much compassion and joy to everything she does that being out there together makes it so enjoyable. Then the four of us, we support each other. We all have our high points and we all have our low points. It's all about doing this as a unit and being together.
You really caught my attention when I heard about when you ran the rim to rim, the Grand Canyon. Like 1 foot to the left would have been 1,000 feet down. You ran the first blind person to ever do that. Let's see, there's South America, there's China, Kilimanjaro, there's Europe coming up next year. But I saw on your list of number 7 is Antarctica.
Antarctica is the big one. So we systematically put Europe as number 6 because if the opportunity opens up for us to be able to do Antarctica next year, we're sure we can find a way of doing Europe the following year. So that is the big one. We haven't determined exactly what Antarctica looks like yet. It's expensive, it's time consuming, and it's a pretty incredible place to be. That is going to be the capstone of this journey.
Yeah, the thing about at the South Pole, if you go 10 miles north, 20 miles east or west, you're still only 10 miles from the South Pole.
I know. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And, mind-boggling is what I see this as. But, you guys are out there. You're a team. I like that team spirit that you have, you talk about, and what you're doing for all the communities and that you get involved with. And you're doing something else this fall, not only running 2 ultramarathons in 1 week, but you're starting something very special this fall. Why don't you tell the listeners about it?
Definitely. So, our travels around the world, we often speak at schools and have been giving financial donations, contributions to school by school as we visit them. We started a music program in a school for the blind in Lima, for instance. We helped buy supplies for an integrated school for the blind in Tanzania. What we want to do is create a more meaningful, lasting impact on the blind community and those that interact with them. So in thinking about it, we thought tackling this transition for youth from high school into college and helping students obtain a meaningful secondary education. Now, this is not for everyone. This is for the students that have the will and the tenacity and the fight to go and take on a college education. I know from experience, it's very challenging. It's hard enough to understand, where should we go? Where can we get accepted? What should we major in? The expense and the cost of going. And now layering on top of that, the challenge of having to figure out how you're going to get around campus. What type of support will I need in the classroom? Will my professors understand if I can't see what they're presenting or the video that they're showing? These stresses are just an added level of challenge that just requires additional hard work and tenacity to get it done. So what we're starting up is a scholarship program, at least where we can, to help offset the cost of students that want to take on this challenge. So we'll be rolling this out first quarter of 2019. We're looking to take applications by March or April of 2019 for the fall of next year. And our goal is to be able to offer $5,000 scholarships targeted around both New Zealand and the United States for this year. The long-term goal of the project is to identify and create meaningful pathways for a student with vision loss or no sight through a university program into a career path and be able to have mentors and folks that have done it, that have navigated those waters before, available to help mentor and just to be there as resources. And again, really, this is when a student approaches a professor in a freshman year biology class, let's say, and can't see the screen, having them have somebody that they can talk to and ask about, how did you do it? And I think that will be very powerful and really getting back to our mission about supporting children with vision loss and helping them achieve their maximum potential. Sometimes we get stuck trying to solve the problem when there's a solution, but if we can prevent having to reinvent the wheel every time, that's what we're after. This isn't for everyone, but this is for those that are really looking to get out there and go through a university program and not quite sure all the roadblocks are going to face. So we're looking at initially financial support and eventually building this into a lot more peer-to-peer mentoring support.
I really like what you say is a career pathway, a pathway for other people to follow. Like you said, reinventing the wheel. Every person that comes along, they think they're the only person in the world that has ever done this. But just like when the next blind person gets to the top of Kilimanjaro, there's probably a little piece of braille out there that says, Dan Berlin was here.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, when I take on these challenges, I research the trail and I look for anyone else who's vision impaired that has done similar things before, part of the trail or similar type things, and ask them. You know, that's one of the ways I met Jack Chen years ago. I called him when I was looking at going up Kilimanjaro because I read that he had climbed it several years ago. And I really asked him, I said, well, what was it like? What was the trail like? How'd you handle this? How'd you handle that?
Oh, wow.
And to be able to provide that level of, somebody there to be able to be supportive and just be that sounding board for a student to be able to ask, well, how'd you get through a course that's all dealing with quizzes and clickers and you have to see the screen to enter the number of which one you choose? Little practical issues like that are the reality in college today. And if we can solve some of those issues without having to involve, sometimes we don't like the stigma of having to involve university services or to make a big to-do about special accommodations.
And sometimes there's just that little thing that gets you past something that you go, oh, that's it? It's just a little simple thing. What I was going to say earlier is someone's going to get to the top of Kilimanjaro and find a braille, Dan Berlin was here, but now I'm corrected. Now it's going to say Jack Chen and Dan Berlin were here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how I met Jack, and Jack is a fantastic person. He and I have such similar beliefs and attitude towards life and the way we view things.
Well, you guys did the Race Across America last year, 2008. Well, this year, 2018.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was this past June.
2 big major feats, yeah.
I know, time goes by. Oh.
Wow. Well, Dan, I know you got to get packing, heading off to New Zealand for that endurance flight. I just want to thank you so much for coming on here, sharing. And if you want to read more about Dan and his Team C Possibilities, that's teamcpossibilities.com on the web. And congratulations on the Race Across America. Good luck to you and your team, Team C Possibilities, when you head to New Zealand and accomplish your goals.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jeff. I really appreciate having the opportunity to share this with you and the other listeners.
Oh, great. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. I talked to you earlier. It was like, what? You're going to New Zealand. Now what's up? It's like, wow, that's really cool. And I want to say, if you get a chance to go onto the website, there's some videos there that just explain doing the wall. It's not just a path. The wall is not a path. There's obstacles. There's some parts that are perfect, picture perfect parts. But you kayaked in the morning, you climbed, it was like, wow, this is really cool. And there's other videos on there too. Just good information on there, and hopefully people can get a chance to go to your website and check it out.
Oh, well, thanks, Jeff.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited for your team, and good luck to all of you.
Thank you, Jeff. No, I think this is fantastic. I really appreciate it. At such short notice. This is great.
Safe travels,
thanks,
man.
Jeff.
All right.
Take care.
Be sure to check out Team C Possibilities on the website at www.teamcpossibilities.com. I'm sure we'll get back with Dan Berlin when they return, and some other exciting news as they start to launch the Global Scholarship Project from Team C Possibilities. Once again, I want to thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed, and until next time, bye-bye.
When we share
what we see
through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap
between the limited expectations and the realities of blind abilities.
The realities of blind abilities.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities. Download our app from the App Store, Blindabilities, that's 2 words, or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Thanks for listening.